What is going on, YouTube? Got another custom today, and today I will be working on a 1969 Ford Torino Talladega. This one was sent in by Nick Devers, and I did another Torino not too long ago that I thought turned out really well, and I'm pretty excited about this build. I think it'll be pretty sweet. Not a big fan of this paint that's on there, so I think I'm going to make it look a heck of a lot cooler. But first things first, let's drill out these posts. And to drill out the posts, the first drill bit we use is a 9/64. Just in comparison, this is the 1/16 that you use to drill the hole for the screws. And this is the one that you use to remove the posts or drill out the post. And that is what you want right there. Remove that little ring, which that's all that really holds on the Hot Wheel to the base. Now that the front's out, let's go and do the back. And once they're both drilled out, if you're lucky, you can just work with the base a little bit and pry it open. Just like that. As you can see, this one's had some playtime. We've got a little rusty wheel, so we're going to have to do a wheel swap, which is fine if I can find some that'll fit. But that's how it looks. You can see I was a little bit off. Wasn't right dead on, but it got the job done. And now, using the 1/16, it's time to drill out the holes for the screws. So when I first start drilling the hole, I'll stop pretty soon into it, make sure I'm dead center where I need to be, and I'm looking pretty good here. Alright, I think that's gonna do it. Now let's do the back. There we go, all drilled out and ready to go. Once I have it drilled out where I want it, that's when I put the screws in. And these are 2x56 button head screws. These things are tiny. That's what they look like right there. And my driver is a 0.050 driver. And I found the driver at one of my local hobby stores, Hobbytown USA, and the screws I get off of Amazon. So there you go. Screw it down until it's flush, until you can't screw it down no more. You don't want to over tighten these because you'll strip them out. These are self-tapping screws, and what that means by self-tapping screws is that the material used for the screw, the metal, is stronger than the metal used for the post. So as you screw in the screw, it makes its own threads, and that's how it stays in there. And now you know, and no one's half the battle. So there we go. That is good to go. We got the rest of the car looking pretty good. Looks like the glass is in decent shape, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Interior, probably end up painting that depending on the color of the car I go with. And like I said before, I'm going to need some new wheels on this bad boy. So there you go. Let's get the paint off there and get to working on this bad boy. If you've ever watched any of my custom videos, you know I use Citrus Strip stripping gel to remove the paint. This stuff works really good for me. And I'm not in a huge hurry, so I can wait a little bit and let this stuff do its job. Typically I'll put it on there, I'll use a pretty decent coat of it, wait about 15 to 30 minutes, and then it starts looking like this. That's a good time to take all the paint off. Go over it with some soap and water, and it comes out looking like this, ready for some primer. I went over the car with some gray primer. Then I went over it with some Krylon Cover Max, satin bright white. And then once that dried, I went over it with a very thin coat of some Krylon Gloss Clear. Once the clear coat dried, it was time to put some decals on. The paint scheme I'm going with for this car is from a car that ran in NASCAR in 1974 and was driven by the legend Buddy Baker. This is the second Buddy Baker car I've done, but I thought this was a pretty cool paint scheme and I just couldn't pass it up. So hopefully it turns out well. At 6 foot 6 inches, Buddy Baker's nickname was Leadfoot and was known for his record-setting speed during his 34-year Winston Cup career. The son of racing legend Buck Baker, Buddy is regarded in stock car circles as the fastest of all top drivers. At Talladega in 1970, Buddy became the first driver to race over 200 miles per hour on a closed course. I was in a Dodge Daytona, by the way. At the 1980 Daytona 500, Buddy took the checkered flag with an average speed of 177.6 miles per hour, a record that still stands. Along with his remarkable single race performance, Buddy enjoyed one of the most elite careers in the history of racing. In all, Buddy won 19 times in his career in NASCAR, with 17 on major speedways. He ranks 9th on NASCAR's all-time list for top 5 finishes with 202, and top 10 finishes with 313 out of 688 starts. Buddy was inducted into the Charlotte Motor Speedway Court of Legends in 1995 and the International Motorsports Hall of Fame in 1997. All right, car's coming along pretty well. Now it is time to work on this base a little bit. I don't think I'm going to change the base up much at all, but I do need to do a wheel swap. As you can see, I got some moisture in there, and these wheels are rusted. Rust does not make for fast wheels, that's for sure. So, this is how I do it. There's several different ways to do wheel swaps. One, you can take these tabs, and you can cut them, and then take out the wheels and then just go them back. That's one way of doing it. But what I like doing is, this is a little hook. I got this in a pack of like 6 from Harbor Freight for $1. So you can't go wrong with that. So all I do is I come in here, get underneath the wheel, and you just pull up and pops right out. And same thing on the back. Get underneath the little axle, pop up a little bit, and they come flying out. You can do that with the plastic bases. For the most part, these tabs aren't too stiff. And just like that, good to go. So now that those are out, this will be my donor car. Don't worry, I'm not going to throw it away. I have different plans for this, but I don't need the wheels for it. So I'm going to take these wheels out and put them into this one. Something to keep in mind when doing wheel swaps is to make sure that the wheels that you're swapping out are the same length as the one you're replacing them with, and that they're also the same size. Unless you're trying to do something crazy, make some crazy custom or something like that, you want to make sure they're the same width and length. Otherwise, you're going to have too much travel in your wheels and it's not going to roll straight. Just like that. These are pretty close, pretty right on. So, the process is the same. I want to be pretty gentle with these as I don't want to bend them. So you just go in, pry them up, easy as that. Sometimes it takes a little bit of finesse, but there you go. Now that those are out, time to put the new wheels in. First thing first is to make sure you're putting the front and rear wheels in the right place. So these go in the back, and they go in just like that. Press them in right there, make sure they're in good. I use my fingernail, or I'll use the pick, and then you just press down the tabs. Just like that. So even though that one tab is loose, you can still press it down, but the other two tabs will hold it. And I'll probably put a drop of glue on there. Maybe not super glue, but JB Weld or something to help hold those in place. And there you have it. Same thing for the front. Come in, put it in there, and I use the back of my pick to press the tabs down again. Just like that. And there you go. Easy as that. And it rolls well. That's one of the keys I like about just using the tabs and bending the tabs back in place, that you can align the wheels and kind of move them around a little bit to find where they're going to be level, and then you can drop in some glue to hold them in place. So that's one option. There you go. Wheel swaps, pretty easy. All right, time for the best part of the build, putting it all back together. So our wheel swap is done. I actually think these wheels are actually going to look pretty sweet on this car. These are the old standard Hot Wheel wheels, but I think they'll do a good job. Interior I didn't mess with. I think the black will be just fine, and the window is about as good as it's going to get. So let's get this all back together and see how it's looking. To secure it in place, as usual, I'm using my 2x56 button head screws. And you don't want it too tight, especially on these, because you can push the wheels up into the body of the car and then it won't roll. Time for the moment of truth. Let's see how it all turned out. Oh yeah, check that out. This thing looks awesome. I'm really happy with the way this came out. Very cool. Those wheels look pretty sweet. I like the little low stance it's got going on there. Hopefully that doesn't mess it up on the track, but we will see. One thing that did happen though, and it's kind of hard to see, I don't know why this happened, but when I put the clear on, it put a little line in there, which is weird because I painted it white, put a clear over it, put the decals on, and used the same clear to paint it again, and it did that. So I don't know, maybe I went too heavy with the paint. I do use a lot of clear on these, as these cars are going to be raced down the track, and I want the clear to protect them a little bit, but I have no idea when that happened. It's the same clear I've been using for a while, but oh well, adds character to the car. At least that's what I'm going to say. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Hopefully Buddy Baker would be proud. Just a very cool car. So let's go take some close-ups. In the fall of 1968, Ford was determined to dominate NASCAR. So it set out to revamp the Torino with the help of legendary builders Holman and Moody. The Torino was already a popular nameplate, as it was part of the Ford Fairlane line, and one that came in a blizzard of varieties. But the Talladega Special, intended to be an undisputed king of the track, was marked for special treatment from the moment it hit the production line. From early Friday mornings through Sunday nights in January and February of 1969, Holman and Moody workers assembled the cars at the Atlanta plant. Overall, a Talladega is almost 6 inches longer than a stock Torino. The front fenders were handmade by Holman and Moody and extended far out and down to create the famous drop snoot, keeping air on the top of the car and reportedly good for 5 miles per hour in top speed all by itself, which is the equivalent of 75 horsepower gain. Ford's redesign efforts definitely paid off on the track. The Talladega ruled 1969. At the end of the year, the David Pearson Talladega took the championship, followed by Richard Petty. Ford's won 26 races, including 11 in a row between Raleigh in late June and Michigan in August. Definitely a very impressive car produced by Ford that has a very rich racing history. Well, there it is. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you on the next one.